Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today we're going to take a look at Squad Alpha version 5. For being a game that's still in alpha version, it's quite playable right now and still a lot of fun. So what kind of changes can you expect in this latest version 5 update? Well, they've done a pretty big pass on all of the main maps. We've seen some new custom buildings implemented, a lot more debris and things laying around the map to make them look a little bit more realistic. Though being the Unreal Engine, I'm sure they can push this game visually much further than it already is. I'm sure they're waiting on a more final state of the game to kind of push it graphically and see how far they can get and still maintain good frame rate. And speaking of which, there's been a lot of people saying they've seen an improved frame rate since this latest patch. Unfortunately, it's not universal. I actually saw a very big frame rate drop since the latest patch. I lost about 30 frames per second, which is quite substantial. I haven't gone through the sort of checklist of things that they've shown to do to improve your frame rate yet, but I might go into the INI file and start changing properties and whatever to try and boost it. There's also been a bunch of small but fairly important changes to the way that your character plays or travels through the world. Now you can jump over walls and it's not really as dependent on your stamina anymore, which was incredibly frustrating. You'd be sprinting through a field, ran out of stamina and couldn't jump over the wall in front of you, which really sucked if bullets were flying past you. Now you should be able to jump over those walls, although it would look so much cooler if there was a vaulting mechanic. Right now you've kind of got this jump and duck ability, which is very old school. It'd be interesting to see them upgrade it with a vault mechanic, but I know that's pretty resource intensive when it comes to animation and then developing your maps around them. There's also been a change to how accurate you are with your weapons when you're standing and aiming versus crouching and aiming, and then going prone for the most accuracy. I don't know how much it's actually changed. I'm honestly not used to this game enough or familiar with it enough to really notice like how far my bullets are veering off or whatever, but I will take the devs' word for it. If you want to be as accurate as possible, going prone makes more sense. Now, they did kind of demonstrate a cool thing with their foliage a little while back where they showed how, like, as you run through bushes and grasses and stuff like that, your character would push it out of the way. Fortunately, I don't think that's in the patch right now. It is something that would make crawling over hilltops that much more easy because you could push grass out of the way, which would allow you to see what's in front of you. That's not quite in the game yet, but hopefully in the near future. They've also added a weird little blur effect to optics when you're aiming down sights. The center of the optic will be perfectly clear and then around it will be kind of hazy. I'm not crazy about this effect in general. I don't think it adds a lot to the game. And I've never been a huge fan of the way that they render optics in this game. I think they could push it a bit further. It's certainly not bad, but again, the housing kind of reflects what an optic might look like if your eye was sitting like a foot or two back from it, where in real life when you put your eye up to optics, you're usually no more than 4 to 6 inches away, and certain optics you're like 1 inch away from them. And so just the rendering of it I'm not crazy about in general, and I think they could use the screen real estate a little more efficiently. Then again, I'm pretty finicky about my video game optics, and for the most part they're usable. Now, the user interface menu has been updated a bit, the underlying code has been updated, and also some of the visual styling of it. It's kind of easier to see what weapon your teammates have now in the user interface. You can tell what classes people have chosen. Still don't like the class picking system, as it's sort of a first come first serve at the very beginning of the round. If you don't get what you want, you may never be able to use certain classes like the sniper, and you just kind of have to rush for it at the beginning of every single game. I don't like that, but who knows if that'll ever change. The game is still certainly playable. The map has also seen a bit of a change. There's new player icons on it, which I don't really like the new player icons. I think they're hard to sort of read, and they also don't scale well with the zoom level of the map, so players will be overlapping each other and it's hard to tell if there's like 5 people in one location. They've updated it now so medics can see if somebody is downed on the map, which I think is good. However, it doesn't yet solve the problem of being down yourself and not knowing if a nearby medic is also down. I think they should update the map or UI so that everybody can see who's downed on the map, and that way you can potentially get a medic's attention about another player who's down, or you know if you need to hold your respawn waiting for a medic, or if that medic's actually being killed trying to revive you. So it would just be nice to have a little bit more information on that map, and that way we don't have to use VoIP to try and communicate that to each other, and let the communications revolve more around the actual combat and coordinating with where the enemies are and how to attack them. I just think it's overall a better use of the game time. Apparently the ticket bleed has been changed and different point values have been changed for how many points things are worth when you take a flag or lose a flag and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the UI never really shows this in game, so it's hard for the average player to understand just how much of an effect taking or defending a flag is actually worth in game. And I hope that they can try and figure out some way in the user interface to sort of communicate this better to the average player rather than being 100% reliant on listening to your squad leader, because not all squad leaders are great or have the best strategies. And at this point in the game, I think most people are just sort of following the squad leaders, not really knowing if there's a better option, because there's so much metagame to this that most people don't know about, myself including, because you really have to like read the whole game manual or just like play so much of this game before you understand how the point system works. I would really love to see a better point indication system in this game somewhere, somehow. Now, regardless of the things that I would like to see added to this game, it is really fun to watch the progression of Squad from being a barely playable game to a game that's mostly playable right now. It just doesn't even have all the features in it, like vehicles and everything, so we really don't know how the pacing or the flow of the game is going to be by the time it launches. But it is nice to see the features slowly coming and slowly being added to the game, and also having the community give immediate feedback when a new patch comes out, seeing if people like something, seeing if the new system works out or if it needs to be tweaked. It is cool to be a part of that design process, and I love that about indie games. One feature that's definitely at the top of my list right now, and something that I think anybody who likes to play with friends would enjoy, would be server queuing, or queuing up for a server with friends at the same time to make sure that you're on the same team or in the same squad. Right now, not only is there no server queuing, so all you have to do is keep joining a server that looks like it's full until you can get in, because there's either totally full servers or totally empty servers. Very rarely do you find anything in between. But also having the ability to queue up with your friends and then get on the same team, because I like to play with friends in this game. So far I've been playing casually and just joining up squads and using the VoIP a lot, which is great. The system works really well already and the community is awesome, but obviously playing with friends is going to be key to this game in any multiplayer shooter. So the sooner they can get a server browser and server queuing in that facilitates this kind of thing, the better. Other than that, it is still quite fun to watch the progression of this game, and like many other people, I am eagerly awaiting the inclusion of vehicles. Even if it's just a Humvee with a mounted LMG on top, I think having vehicles in this game is going to give it an entirely different feeling. Other than that, I'm still enjoying Squad a lot, and it's probably one of my most anticipated indie games for this year. I can't wait to see the final version. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.